Hey, it's Jamie J. We are live. I am the host of Live with Bottleneck. That's the name of this show, where we help stop the bottleneck in your business and your life. I'm also the CEO and founder of Bottleneck Distant Assistance and author of Quit Repeating Yourself. Really excited to have you joining us today. Pretty excited to be introducing you to David Crysler. He's the operations consultant of the Crysler Club. We're going to be talking about some cool stuff today. So you're going to want to tune into this. So be prepared. And we will go ahead and make those introductions to you in about 38 seconds. We'll see you soon. Hello, my name is Jamie J, CEO and founder of Bottleneck Distant Assistance and the host of Live with Bottleneck. Thank you for stopping by so that we can help stop the bottleneck in your business and your life. So let's hop into the show today. I want to be introducing you, or we are going to be introducing you to the one and only David Crysler, who's operation consultant of the Crysler Group. We're going to be talking about reclaim your life and grow your business. I think it's fantastic. Something all of us should be wanting to do as business owners. But why, oh, why is David able to help you stop the bottleneck in your business? Well, let me tell you. David is a principal operations consultant at the Crysler Club and host of the Everyday Business Problems podcast. I love that. Having spent nearly 20 years working for a publicly traded corporation that grew through acquisition, provided Dave with the opportunity to grow several different businesses during his career. Entering entrepreneurship, Dave quickly realized there was a tremendous need within small businesses to have access to the tools and support that were commonplace in large corporations. It was during this time Dave developed his operations framework that he uses to solve everyday problems and free business owners from working in their business so that it can grow. Without any further ado, please allow me to introduce you to David Chrysler. How are you, sir?
Good, Jamie. Thanks so much for the warm intro and welcome here. So excited to be having this conversation with you today.
Yeah, this is, you know what, a lot of stuff that you do, I'm just a massive fan of because I systems, processes, and work. I mean, I love it. I live it. I really enjoy it, which is kind of weird.
Two peas in a pod, right? Two peas in a pod, man.
So, with that being said, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about who you are, some of your background, and we'll jump into this conversation.
Yeah, happy to, and thank you. So, for me, I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. So, growing up in that environment and, seeing my parents own multiple businesses throughout my childhood and even still today, my parents own multiple businesses. But, growing up in that environment, as I tell the story, I always kind of aspired to do things a little bit different. So, maybe have the corner office and a lot of responsibility, work in a really big company, because I saw how hard my parents worked in their business to get it to grow to the point that they had it at. And so, ultimately, that's what I found myself doing. I worked for my parents for a few years as I was going through school, and then found myself working for a large publicly traded company that grew through acquisition, and was there for nearly 20 years and had the fortunate opportunity to relocate several times, have P&L responsibility for several different facilities throughout my career, and really coming out of that and kind of seeing a lot of similarities as to what my parents would go through, which was basically, you have this business because you're really great at the thing. And so you build a business around that. You got a team around you, and, but inevitably you hit these plateaus throughout your growth of that particular business. And whether it was my parents' business or the businesses that the corporation I worked for would acquire, you would see a lot of similarities in terms of how they would operate. And most of them would be hitting these different types of plateaus. And what got them, the systems and things that they had in place that got them to the place that they were at today, weren't always going to be the things that got them to that next place that they were trying to go. So coming out of that environment and kind of having these different opportunities to see that throughout my childhood and throughout my career, coming into entrepreneurship and starting to have those conversations with small business owners and leadership teams, I just saw this tremendous need to give them the tools and support that we kind of took for granted. We had a lot of resources with the company that I worked for, and so we kind of, knew what to do. We knew how to put the planning, the people, the process, and the technology in place to scale those businesses. And so coming into entrepreneurship, I wanted to be able to be a conduit and be a support center for business owners and leadership teams that were trying to grow and in growth mode, to help them pull together the planning, people, process, and technology to move the needle within their business.
Planning, people, process, technology. I like that PPPT.
Yeah. You could go with, the fourth P and say platforms, but, I just had to throw something different in there. So,
Yeah, no, I think that's fantastic. So thank you for giving us kind of the backstory here and kind of how you were brought up and all of that kind of stuff. It resonates very, very clearly with me. One thing that I wanted to kind of take out of your conversation, in particular, I think would be a great way to kick this conversation off is you had mentioned something about what used to work, now that we've done this is maybe no longer working, or we've identified some areas that, oh man, this is a big friction point, this is a big problem, right? This, in my opinion, stems from creating that ultimate foundation, that very beginner level foundation, which is very hard to do. I think, in my opinion, it's really hard to do. And many people think, oh, finally I've created this thing, I'm done. In all actuality, you're not done, right? But the
yeah.
hardest part of building the house is actually building the house. If you need to repair a wall, you don't have to put a whole new wall up. You can patch the wall and maybe repaint it and stuff like that, but it's not nearly as challenging, right? So I wonder if maybe you can kind of take us back to that part of your conversation and break that down a little bit. A lot of people, especially in growth modes, like you said, they're now all of a sudden starting to say, "Oh man, what we're doing here, this isn't working. We got to fix this." And there, a lot of times, people may not recognize that a little bit, and they kind of go past it. But then they start, and the way we find out is we get complaints, right?
Yeah.
Complaints from people. But can you maybe break that down a little bit on maybe starting to what's happened with this? The new way we're doing business is not how we did business in the past.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite, all-time favorite sayings is that's the way we've always done it, right? And that's what I first think about, because typically when you're building out a business, when you're first starting to scale, and putting processes in place, you kind of do things out of necessity, and you're really just trying to, eliminate the bottlenecks, fill the stop gaps, and you're doing that with process, you're doing that with people. And what I mean by, you can't just always do more of what you've done in the past to break through that and continue building on what you want to build to get you to where you want to go. Because from my standpoint, it's a continuous improvement effort. So what I like to say is it's a continuous cycle of, plan, review, revise, repeat, right? Plan, execute, review, revise, repeat. And when you get into that mindset and that framework, when you're looking at process and looking at the things that have allowed you to get to the place that you're at today, it's looking at those through a new lens. It is harnessing the collective brain power of the team that you've now surrounded yourself with, because typically you are going to now have a team of people around you. So, harnessing that brain power, that creativity, the excitement, and the ability to problem solve in unique ways, harnessing that from your people, from your team, and putting that into a framework of the, plan, execute, review, revise, repeat. When we're taking a look at the process and technology components of the planning, people, process, and technology, when you're able to do that, those are the things that are going to move the needle in your business and get you to break through that next set of bottlenecks that you're recognizing. It's when you start to identify, man, I feel like I'm fighting the same fires. I'm not really looking forward to going into the office today because I already know I'm going to be dealing with this problem and that problem. And I've noticed that my cost of quality is starting to increase, and I'm starting to have some issues in terms of maybe retaining some really amazing people. They're starting to move on because we're not getting the traction that we once did. Those are the things that come to mind when I think about that's the way we've always done it. And the things that we're doing today aren't necessarily going to be the things that take us into the future. Really need to look at it from a different lens. Oh,
This is all part of growing. I think growing pains. This is what it is.
yeah.
Growing. This is what growing pains is.
Yeah.
Um, and but having the wherewithal to be able to recognize an issue um, is 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 a really powerful tool to have in your arsenal as you're growing. Do you spend time on this right now? Is this a priority? How do you prioritize these challenges that you face? And that might be another question that I'd like to ask, is because when you're growing, all of a sudden there could be multiple things that break. And you're starting to be reactive instead of responsive.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. I love that phrase, and it's spot on. Right. So everybody is busy, and there is a difference between being busy and being productive. And I think that's the differentiation that you've got to make when you're in this mindset of saying, I'm in growth mode. Here's where I want to be in the next 3 years, or here's where I want to be next year. When you start to focus on those things, one of the tools I really like to use when it comes to kind of delegating, prioritizing, and getting your mind right about being busy versus being productive, and taking steps towards the goals that you are, that you've ultimately lined out, is just using a simple Eisenhower matrix, right? Keeping track of the things that you're doing throughout the day, taking a look at, process through an Eisenhower matrix lens, but really getting a handle on the things you should be working on. So again, it's back to, my kind of, and it's not mine. A lot of people say it, but it's, the working in your business versus working on your business. If you're busy working in your business and you're not taking the step back to say, okay, what are the areas that I need to focus on? What should I be prioritizing my time on versus what should I be delegating to the team? Again, taking advantage of that collective brain power that you have when you start to hire people around you. And I think one of the biggest roadblocks there from a team perspective is the fact that when you start a business, it's typically around you, your skill set, the things you know and love the most. And so it can be a real challenge for business owners and then leadership teams to let go and to empower people to achieve the goals that you've lined out. But that is where the real unlock starts to happen. That is where exponential growth starts to happen. When you can get comfortable with giving somebody on your team or throughout your organization the bounds and the goal, and not be so concerned that they've done things slightly different than you would have done them, but the results are at par or even better than the results you potentially could have achieved yourself. That's where exponential growth comes in. That's where you really break free. And that's where you're able to take advantage of that collective brain power. And again, connecting that, planning, people, process, technology, connecting all of those dots to just really set your place on fire.
yeah.
You know that, right? I mean, you do an amazing job from a team aspect. You've lived this stuff. I mean, that's kind of
And,
singing to the choir, I feel like.
and you know what? What you just said, I truly believe is absolutely resonating with people. I don't have a big following on my social medias, and I'm by no means influencer guru type person. But we have a kind of, we like sharing stuff that we've learned and things like that. And then you start seeing certain posts that we talk about a certain thing, and you're starting to see, like, man, this one gets maybe 20 or 30. Then all of a sudden, 800 or 1,000 people like this, and the people
Yeah.
that are responding to those types of posts, those or I'm sorry, those posts that the people are responding to, is it's just like what you said, right? Like, I took a quote out of my book, and I said, if 10 of your team members are fighting for the same vision that you're fighting for, you're in a pretty good spot. And that comes, the team members, whether or not you have them, if you're getting ready to go there, and I want to talk about working in versus on your business here in a moment, but those, having a system or a process in place gives other people so much more confidence, because they go, man, this person knows what they're doing. They have a direction. Now, do I agree with that or don't? That becomes a cultural
Right.
question that you have to be mindful of. And there's a bunch of different things in here. Believe me, we can go into that stuff. But saying that everybody kind of is aligning for that. If you have that people that see that there's been a plan because the process is there, holy cow, that's gold. So
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree, and for me, it's really why I say the kind of core four, if you will, right? That's really the heart of the operations framework, but it's why I say them in a very specific order, because when you put them out of order, you need all four, but when you put them out of order, you do have a more challenging time retaining and attracting top talent, because people can see through the holes of that, right? To your point, if you're onboarding somebody and you're trying to attract a new team member into your business, what business do you think they're going to be more excited and more apt to accept a offer from? Business A, that all direction comes from the top. There's no documented processes. When they ask about future growth potential, you go on a long-winded tangent about how you have aspirations, but no real, plan in place to a systematic plan in place to grow your business. Or would it be, kind of rather company B that has a documented business plan and documented goals that they're going after? They have documented processes that they can share with you. They have a documented job description that outline what success looks like for this particular role. So everything is very clear to you. They have technology to help automate and streamline the processes that you're
how about a
expected to
vision
carry out.
that you're aligned with?
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, that to me is, you hear, especially lately, you hear a lot of leadership teams, talk about how challenging it is to find people, and everybody is hiring right now. But for me, in my experience, that's the real reason that you can take two nearly identical companies, right? Same industry, same size, same revenue band, all of that. And you've got one leadership team that says, nobody out here wants to work. I can't find anybody. These guys and these girls out on the shop floor or out in the office, they're always making mistakes. They're always doing this, they're always doing that, right? You've got that company, or you've got the company that is literally saying, we have more applicants than we know what to do with. I wish we could grow faster to bring more people on board to us. Why is that? It's because that second company has the planning, people, process, technology in place. They have a plan, they have a vision, they're executing against it. It's back to the, plan, execute, review, revise, repeat. They're in that cycle, they're in that mindset. That's the stuff that moves the needle for your business. That's how you can reclaim your life and grow your business.
Uh, Again, yes. I mean, I like to have a little banter usually in this and a good dialogue going, but I'm just yeah, I totally agree. And you know what's really important too is you brought up order. I understand um, how important that is because if you bring people on without a process in place, you're going to run into some challenges because they won't identify with vision, mission, core values, provocative points of view. If you bring a process into place with no plan, that can be confusing. Um, and then, if you don't have the tools necessary for the people to use to execute against this plan based on the system that was developed, um, what are they going to be doing? They're going to be sitting kind of around. They're not really going to know, they're not going to have any direction. And here's what I feel, and please challenge me on this or elaborate on it. Either way, I'm open to it. Most people are not leaders per se, as far as they're afraid to be an entrepreneur, maybe starting out. They may not have that. I don't know. And there's nothing wrong with this, by the way. When I say they're not leaders, I mean they like security. They like working for somebody. They like going okay, and that's how they want to live their lives. 5 o'clock comes around, they're done. Right? Some people are not like that. Some people they like that challenge of maybe some a little bit of uncertainty and risk taker and all of that. Right? But I wonder if maybe being this person without having the mindset to work in versus on your business, um, I think everybody needs to work in their business. I don't care who you are, especially if you have a team. Now, there comes a certain point in time where you can graduate to being able to work on your business. But I feel that as a leader, I would not have the respect of our colleagues internally, my team members, if I didn't get in the trenches with them and kind of get back and forth and get muddy with them a little bit, so to speak. And also be involved. Now, coming up with the creative vision, people enjoy direction. So if I'm a guide and I want to climb, this high mountain, I would follow a guide. That guide's going to take me around, and I'm going to take that direction, much in the same way that team members look to me or to, department heads in order how best to navigate this certain blah, right?
Yeah.
So I say this all long-winded to long story longer is what do you think about working in your business versus on your business, and then making sure that you have the platform there in order to deserve to be in a position to give direction?
Yeah. It's a great question. And from my perspective, and at least how I approach the in versus on, is the fact that while it can mean absentee owner, while it can mean 4-hour work week, that's not what I mean. There has to be a balance of working in your business and working on your business. To your point, if you want to be an absentee owner, you need to have somebody in the operation that is focused on working in and on the business, right? If you want a 4-hour work week, you need to have somebody, an operational leader that is focused on working in and on the business. So, the reason that I like the saying is because it's a mindset shift. Too many business owners don't know how to take the step back and work on their business. They are so focused on working in their business. And again, to your point, some people are kind of natural leaders who maybe want to become entrepreneurs. They're a little bit more or a little less risk adverse. The point kind of is there's nothing wrong with if you want to be um, self-employed, right? But there's a big difference, and you have to understand that difference of being self-employed and owning a job versus building a business. same thing. Nothing wrong if you want to work for somebody or you want to be an entrepreneur. Just understand where you're at and why you're making that decision. So for me, those are kind of the distinctions. I like a business owner or leadership team that stays involved but understands what it means to take a step back and to be able to work on the business. You can't spend all of your time just planning and never executing, right? Because there is no perfect plan. You have to do, you have to plan, you have to do, you have to execute, figure out what's working, what's not working, and then we start the cycle all over again. So I think some people maybe take it, at least from my perspective, a bit too literal that, I mean, hey, let's be an absentee owner. And while that's fine, if that's the goal that you're working towards, part of that plan should be to identify somebody throughout your operation or somebody in leadership that is going to be able to toe the line, that is going to be able to be involved in process and systemization and, bringing on people, but we'll also be able to take a step back and start to set those larger goals and longer term visions. Maybe it's an acquisition strategy. Maybe it's a new quality management system initiative, whatever the case may be. If you're building a business, you have to be able to work on your business and not just in your business. And if you're solely focused working on in your business, more than likely you are self-employed and you do not own an actual business.
Yep. Ostrich head in the sand type thing. Maybe,
Yeah.
missing a lot of stuff. I'm a big fan of deep thought sessions, kind of sitting back, thinking, asking questions. And a lot of times I find that you can go either virtually or in person. Events might help with that. Mastermind groups might help business owners kind of pull back a little bit, get some
Yeah.
ideas and stuff like that, and get that mindset. That would be my definition of working on your business, doing stuff like that instead of working in it, coming up with the actual, okay, step one, do this and this and this, which is good. And I think it's always good to be refreshed. But I think at a certain point, yeah, that's a good balance of that. Like you said, is
Yeah, the other, kind of litmus test for, are you self-employed or are you working on, building a business? Are you able to work on your business, right? Are you able to make that shift? I mean, it's a very simple question. Can you go 2 weeks, 3 weeks without communicating with your team? Would business continue on? Would you, be able to, or rather, would they be able to make appropriate decisions, appropriate business related decisions, and keep the day to day operations going? If you answer no, that things would collapse without you being present in that in your business, right? Then again, another identifier that what you really have is a self-employment opportunity. And if you want to build a business, that's kind of that next step that you need to take, looking at the planning, people, process, technology, and looking at it from a working on your business perspective is going to help you with that. That's another great litmus test, to ask yourself.
yeah. And thank you for that. And as I hear planning, people, process, technology, planning, people, process means a lot to me because when we first started out, I did a lot of the workflows. I wrote
Yeah.
them myself. Um, I no longer do that. The people come in and help build that process now. The people, the team members, because we're aligned with our vision, our mission. We're all striving towards that same goal. And now that they're specifically paying attention to certain aspects of the business, so that I don't have to look super minutely into those areas, those people are now creating or improving upon the existing processes that were in place because they're doing that every day. And guess what? They love it
Yeah.
because they're contributing their thoughts, their ideas are now part of the company. What a win-win situation.
Yeah, it's the collective brain power aspect It is you making a in my opinion, you made the conscious decision to make the shift from working in your business to working on your business. You have a team of people, you give them the goal, you give them the bounds, you give them the vision, and you let them do what they do. They're the ones doing the heavy lifting every day. So why wouldn't you want their input on the things that are slowing them down and giving them, engaging and empowering them to have the ability to impact what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, and not just them, from a team aspect, the entire team. And then, potentially the next wave of people that you have coming in from a growth perspective. That again, back to what I said earlier, that's really, in my opinion, where you start to move the needle. But you, as a business owner, Jamie, had to, in my opinion, make that mindset shift of saying, I want to build this as a real business. I want to make the shift from working in the business and being responsible for every single aspect where I'm executing to working on the business where you have a team in place. It doesn't mean you're not involved. And again, that's kind of where I go back of that, uh, you know, potentially misconception, but it's really just an understanding of what you're trying to build. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we're just so aligned on that. It's pretty neat. One of the things you say you have to make a conscious decision. Hey, do I really want to build this business, or do I just want to keep it? Either way, I'm not saying anything is
yeah,
better or worse than it. It's what do you want to do as a person? Where does that passion burn? Like, man, this is really cool. If I could do this, boy, I would really like this. Or you know what? I am so happy doing what I do every day. But I think you have to weigh it. It depends on how much pain. What's your pain threshold? No matter what, that's why I like that 75-25 rule.
yeah,
75% of the time doing this, talking to you, David. Um, this is fun. This is energizing. This is motivational. I'm like shaking my head up and down, like, this is freaking awesome, right? 75% of the time, what I do, I really am passionate, love, enjoy, get a smile on my face. I mean, after I walk away from this meeting, I'm super happy. Now,
yeah,
25% of the time, I'm doing things that need to be done, maybe at my level, but I don't necessarily look forward to talking to my CPA who's going to tell me how much money I have to pay, or, but these are necessary evils,
yeah,
right? And if I can keep it down to where I can go through that conversation and I'll be there, I'll be present, I'll be smiling, I'll keep but I know that I'm going to be able to reward myself because if I meet with my CPA and then I get to go talk to David Chrysler, holy crap, I'm okay. That's going to motivate me to get through this. And I think there's some kind of a switch, like you said, something happened where I said to myself, you know what? I do want to make this a little bit bigger. I come 12 years from corporate America. It took me 11 years to figure out how to get out of it. And again, I want to say, if you love corporate America and that's your
yeah.
great. For me, it just didn't. I was like square peg round hole. It just, so I couldn't. It was a long time to get my ideas approved, and then you had to go to legal, or then we had to wait. And by that time, I'm like, oh, I'm on to the next thing.
Yeah, yeah,
So
totally get that. The
yeah,
wheels of the bus move slow.
exactly. To each their own, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, from, the way I like to sum it up, Jamie, is, success, you define your own success, and success, it's okay that success means something different to you than it does to me. And I know plenty of people that have built, multi-million dollar businesses and are miserable. I know people that make really great money working for really big companies and are miserable. So it's, to me, it's all about that individualized decision. It's about being in the right mindset. There are no wrong answers. Just don't confuse. That's what I try to tell people. Just don't confuse what you're trying to do. If you want to be successfully self-employed and have a lifestyle business, awesome. Just recognize it for what it is and don't try to make it something else unless you want it to be something else. And then you can start to put a plan in place and execute against that plan and start, working towards it. So, yeah, it's success should be very individualized. What's right for you? What's right for your family? What's right for you in this moment too, right? Because sometimes I feel like just as people, we get so hyper focused on I need to achieve, this financial KPI, or I need to do XYZ. And it's like, give yourself some grace to understand that maybe you don't have it all figured out because there is no perfect plan. And at some point, you're going to have to pivot. And maybe this isn't the business that you ultimately stick in, or maybe you sell this business, or maybe you bring in a partner into this business. Give yourself some grace to understand that it's okay to make different decisions throughout the journey. That's one of the best lessons that I've learned, not just being an entrepreneur, but, throughout my career. It's okay to kind of look at the new circumstances and make a different decision, choose a new path. It's, set a new goal. It's all up to you. So define your own success.
I love it. I love it, man.
Yeah.
Um, where is someone else? Where is someone at in their business uh, where they would say, "Okay, I need to call David"?
Yeah, if you are, a business owner or in a leadership position and you kind of feel like you're fighting the same fires day after day, you're always saying the same types of things, you're always addressing the same types of situations, and those could be from a people, process, technology perspective. But when you kind of have that sense of, man, why can't we just get this right? Man, why am I always having to address XYZ? When you start to see things in your business, that could be declining revenues, profitability impacts. Maybe your cost of quality is starting to creep up. Maybe you're seeing some turnover, more turnover than you've seen. When you have those types of feelings, when you feel that kind of dread of waking up because you know you already know. You pop up, you already know what today is going to be like. You got a bunch of customer complaints already sitting on your desk. You're going to have Susie from accounting in your office talking about XYZ. Those are the types of business owners and leaders that we can have the most impact with. Because when you take a step back and start to dig into what the root cause of those kind of issues are, typically you're going to find that it falls into the planning, people, process, or technology bucket. And typically you're going to find some things that we can implement relatively quickly to start working on and seeing some results to move the needle within your business.
Thank you for sharing that. I want to be respectful of your time. We did go over a little bit, but
Yeah.
I just enjoy the conversation so much. How do people get in touch with you?
Yeah. The best place to get in touch with me is through our website. Or you can reach me on LinkedIn, any of the social channels. We're kind of everywhere. We post a lot of content that is available. Make all of that free, no gated content. So a lot of resources out there. Always happy to have a conversation with you as well. One of the best places to start if you're interested or feeling some of those things that I already talked about. We do offer a free systems audit on our website. If you hit our website, you'll see a pop up, or it's right there at the top of the page. It's 15 quick questions. Take you less than 5 minutes to go through it. We'll give you a personalized action plan, kind of outlining some of what we've seen based on the input from your questions, and give you a starting point. It's a really great place to just kind of get your head around where you're at today, and the things you're going to have to consider if you really want to work on growing your business.
Well, again, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that, David. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap?
I'd just like to thank you, Jamie. This has been an awesome conversation. I just have so much respect for what you're doing. And I love that I've gotten to get to know you over the course of time, and really appreciate the things that you're doing as a business owner, because not everybody does it that way. And I would guarantee your team appreciates it just as much. So it's been a real pleasure. I really appreciate you having me on your show.
Well, David, likewise, it's been great getting to know you. And yeah, uh, keep up the good fight, man. It's really hard and challenging. And I would bet that a lot of people come to you are not quite ready. to get out of their own way. And I would just encourage people to to uh, to chat with you and learn more about this, because it's worth it. It's worth the challenges and the rough road to get to a certain point where you start seeing, the fruits of your labor.
Yeah. I would leave with, you started your business because you were passionate and you were excited. Every day was a new challenge and it really just got you going. And somewhere along the way, you've lost that. You've lost that spark a little bit and you get frustrated and it's difficult to let go. And you want to grow your business, but you maybe just don't know what those first few steps are to get you unstuck. And so I want to help you reclaim your life and grow your business and get that passion back to where it all started. That's what it is for me. It's that transformation of seeing people, seeing owners, seeing leaders excited again about what the prospect of the day is going to be.
Amen, man.
Yeah.
I'm all about that. Well, hey, thanks again, David, for hanging out for over 40 minutes with us, just chatting. I really appreciate it. Do you have just a second to where I could wrap up?
Yeah. Yeah. Happy to. Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you. I've been talking with David Chrysler. If you know me at all, everything that he's saying, I'm sitting there just, I usually like to get into more and maybe we can have a little bit, I don't know, back, but I just agree with everything he was saying. We talked about reclaiming your life and grow your business. David Chrysler's operation consultant for the Crysler Club. You can go and learn more by jumping onto his website, and that is thechrysler.club. Go check it out. And there's also the survey that you can do, the business systems audit. How much is it costing you in life and business by doing things the way you always have? He says, take the free business systems audit and get your personalized action plan today. Go do it. And you might recognize a common theme that David and I share in the fact that I actually may have even gone a little bit overboard here, but I've actually even gone to the lengths of writing a book called Quit Repeating Yourself: How Today's Leaders Are Using Systems and Processes to Grow Their Business the Right Way. Quit Repeating Yourself kind of sums up a little bit of what David was talking about there. If you find, oh my gosh, I'm doing this, I hate doing it, but I got to do it, and all that pain, figure out ways to get that stuff documented, and the things that are on the high level of that pain point, maybe you can start getting ready to delegate those once you follow the outline that David shared with us today. So highly recommend. If you'd like to see other episodes to learn how you can break through the bottleneck in your business today, go to bottleneck.online/BTV. That stands for Bottleneck Television. And then you could subscribe to our YouTube channel from there. And previously, if you missed my conversation with Alexander Sprague, he's a speaker and author, creator of Epic Begins with One Step Forward programs of Xander Sprague LLC. We talked about epic choices, epic life, how to plan, achieve, and enjoy the journey. That was a really fun conversation. I'd highly recommend you reaching out and watching that one. And coming soon to your earbuds, I'm going to be talking to Iman Bradwell L., founder of Dabby's Daughter. We're going to be talking about business etiquette. Oh, that's coming up Wednesday, February 9th, 2 p.m. Central. And you know what the cool thing about that is I am going to be out in Florida on location during that live stream. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Who knows where it's coming from? Maybe I'm on the beach. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. So stay tuned for that. Thanks again. And remember, create your own ripple. Have a fantastic day. We'll talk to you again soon.